Hey friends, welcome back to Potter Plus. If you are new here, my name is William. I'm a millennial dad drunk on nostalgia, and I promise you are just as sane as I am. I have got an incredible show for you today. Coming up a little later, multimedia producer, event organizer, Harry Potter superfan, and friend of the show, Brad Baer, joins me to discuss the behind-the-scenes Finding Harry documentary that was released on HBO Max. He brought some really interesting perspective to the whole media production side of things, behind the scenes to casting. He had a lot of really good insight, and I can't wait for you to hear that conversation. But first, big news was released this week regarding the Harry Potter television show. According to Variety, Harry Potter scores early season 2 renewal at HBO. Chamber of Secrets starts filming this fall. In the course of television production, renewal of a second season before the debut of a first season only bodes well and only speaks to the confidence of the studio and to the quality of the work that they have already produced. So this is an encouraging note for all of the Harry Potter fans who may have been apprehensive about the development of the show. There have been several set leaks during filming. Dominic McLaughlin and Arabella Stanton, as well as Molly Weasley, Fred Weasley, George Weasley, were seen here recently filming a scene at a train station in London, highly suspected to be the return from Hogwarts at the end of season 1. But much of the other shooting has remained under wraps, likely occurring at Leavesden behind closed doors on set. But needless to say, I'm incredibly excited, and this is an optimistic bit of news leading into the Christmas season this year. But with that, we're going to cut to a break, and when we come back, you get to hear my conversation with Brad Baer.
This episode is brought to you by the Big Red Button Podcast.
Do you know what you'd do in a nuclear apocalypse?
Because we sure as quack don't.
See how our choices get us into trouble and back out again in this actual play podcast.
Big Red Button is for lovers of the Fallout franchise, choose your own adventures, and tabletop role-playing games rolled into one big audio drama.
Our band of stragglers is unraveling a mystery in the wasteland, and we're at the mercy of the roll of the dice.
So grab your Geiger counters, take your rat away, and subscribe to our new show, The Big Red Button.
Brad Baer, welcome back to Potter Plus.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Man, if I was any better, there'd be two of me, which would help because I'd make him edit all the podcasts. Am I right?
That's fair. Yeah. I could do with another me for sure.
I tell the people at work, I oscillate between that one and if I was any better, I wouldn't be able to stand it, and neither would anyone else around me. Let's be honest. Well, I had to have you back on Potter Plus, especially after the documentary was released here recently on HBO. Regarding the Harry Potter series. We've talked pretty extensively on this podcast and the sister podcast about your experience in television and film on the production side and all of the different avenues that you have worked in, plus your ancillary connections to the films, your tour of the Leavesden studio. I knew once this thing dropped, I had to get your opinion on it. For those who don't know, maybe live under a rock, maybe listen by chance to this just for me and not for Harry Potter, which I'm flattered if you do, shocked if you do. The HBO dropped a first look at the upcoming Harry Potter television show. This was surprise number 2. Surprise number 1 for me was that this TV show is coming out this Christmas.
Yeah, that's a good Christmas gift, yeah.
I was watching, of course, all of the nostalgia was hitting me during my first initial walkthrough, but I got to the end and nearly fell out of my chair whenever I saw that it was coming out this Christmas. And Jenny since then has asked me on more than one occasion, how many months until Harry Potter? My 8-year-old is not asking me how many months until Christmas. She's asking me how many months until Harry Potter. And I'm like, the brainwashing has worked. It's worked. So first of all, just overall impressions. What did you think after watching that? It was short. It was short but sweet. But what did you think?
Well, I don't think they can give much away right now, right? Like they have to tease just enough, especially this early on, because everybody has a short memory. So I think they're teasing early on. Obviously, with the Audible release of the full production cast recordings, that's giving them, an extra boost leading up to December. So, I mean, they're marketing geniuses, so they know what they're doing. But first impression is, okay, cool. We're going to have to reset our palette, our visual palette, for those of us that had the films. Of course, this is what I've wanted the whole time. And I, you know, man, I hope our friends don't listen. No offense, but you know, yeah, I have some friends that are in the films, but I was never a huge fan of the films. Like, I was okay with the films, but I'm a book guy, right? Like, I fell in love with the books, and so I always stuck with the books. And so from the beginning, even though like I started reading Potter the week before the first film came out, right? Told you that story on the other podcast, but
Books a Million or Borders?
It was what was that, like Sam Goody? Yeah, I think it was Sam Goody where I grabbed one. Yeah, it was like, yeah, it's defunct, and I got it for $1, that paperback. But so I started reading, and the reason was because I was in a screenwriting class. It was about adaptation, and so I was like, well, this film, I really wanted to see the film based on the trailer because it looked magical and wonderful, and I really liked Kid Lit, and Kid Lit always translated to screen well. That's why there's so many young adult properties that go to films. You know, they're light enough to get most of it on screen pretty easily. And so I was like, oh, okay, you know, I've heard a lot about this Potter thing, so I'll just pick up the first book. And so I did, fell in love with it. One of the first books I read in that brief amount of time, like way less than 24 hours. And then saw the film and then walked out of the theater mad. Because I instantly became such a fan of the books because, you know, and the things I got mad about the first film were really, I felt it missed the heart of the film, or the heart of the books. The film, I felt, missed the heart of it. And they were only about 10 minutes shy. And then I got really angry when the DVD set came out. We got to you went through the little menu challenge, and then you unlock the 10 minutes that they didn't put in. And the 10 minutes they didn't put in was the heart of the film. I'm like, oh my God, why did you do that? You recorded it. What's 10 minutes more? And so I was like, this needs to be a TV series. It needs to be episodic because it's so dense. And you know, of course, as it grows, it really needs to be episodic. So my first take is finally we're getting what we wanted. So I'm excited about that. And of course, it doesn't take away from the films. It's just, you know, reimagining of the same material and expanded. And what I was interested to see is how far are they going to expand it? I mean, obviously they can cover everything in the book, which is great. But once you unlock certain things like Peeves and stuff like that, you're unlocking parts of the castle we've never seen before, elements of the character we've never seen before, not just one character, all characters, because it makes it very. It adds several other dimensions of complexity to the story and what these characters are going through than the movies were able to get into. And it looks like they're going to do it. I honestly thought this whole time that they were going to shoot this on the volume. So the volume is the studio with LED wall and everything, and then they put some, which would be great. I mean, it worked fantastically for The Mandalorian, and I'm sure they're going to use some volume kind of things, tech in this as well.
I can hear Alex Christian just let out a cry of despair all the way in Florida. It reverberated through the ether.
Well, but I was surprised to see how much they're building, right? Like, so they're actually creating, and I know we'll get to that later, but in terms of first takes, I'm like, okay, my first impression is finally, okay, we're going there. Secondly is, they're doing it right. They're not holding back. And then just kind of excitement to see how far they go. I was ecstatic when the trailer dropped. I was really happy to see the casting so far. So like, the kids look like they're going to be great. Ron they found another Ron that looks like it's going to be a perfect Ron, and a Hermione is going to be a perfect Hermione. Very different, but absolutely so far on point, right?
So far embodies the essence of the character.
Yeah.
My first reaction to this was, it was almost like this was just a little snippet to convey to say without saying, listen, it's in good hands.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a really good take.
The discourse online has gone a million different directions, but this is not the first time that Warner Brothers has played this playbook.
Yeah.
Prior to the release of Hogwarts Legacy, which was an expansion on the Wizarding World, they released a behind-the-scenes look at the game. And they interviewed the game creators, and the game creators were like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Hufflepuff. I've got a cherry wand, and my Patronus is this." And you realize that the crew behind this are fans,
Yeah.
and they take it very seriously, and they are striving to do a good job because they are making. Some of them, they're making what they hope their children will watch them one day, or they're making what maybe they watched the movies and they thought, oh, well, limitations of a movie, 2-hour movie telling a 8-hour story. If you judge the length of the audiobook, you're going to have to cut out things. But this felt like, hey, everybody breathe. We're going to show you a little bit to let you know that we are indeed taking this seriously. I'm sure the first driving motivation behind it came from David Zaslav. When in that keynote, whenever they announced this show, but they also announced Max, which has since gone back to HBO Max, and it's a whole thing. Their whole through line was, we have the IP, let's tell the stories inside the IP. And what was the one of Warner Brothers' most profitable franchises in history? It was the Harry Potter series. Made $7-8 billion, spawned all these theme parks that are churning hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And an easy win would be telling the story as a TV show, given the medium that we have now. If you tried to do it as a TV show during like broadcast TV days or even like cable TV days, that was kind of a gate limiting factor because I didn't grow up with cable. You were restricted to 24 to 42 minutes to tell it in segments, and you got season runs. They can be flexible on streaming. Yeah, it's a perfect avenue for that. I look at Chronicles of Narnia, how that is being rebooted under Netflix, and there's talk that I think The Magician's Nephew is a movie. Chronicles of Narnia is going to be a movie. Voyage of the Dawn Treader is going to be a serialized show. Because the Dawn Treader popped to an island, they had an adventure. They popped to another island, they have an adventure. They can mold and adapt the story, the medium to the story.
Right. Yeah. They don't have time constraints. Yeah. They can expand.
And you were mentioning at the beginning of that, like, what is this going to show us even outside of the story? I was looking at their projections for season 1, and they said they're going to have 8 hours to tell the first book. And then I went, hang on a second. And I pulled open Jim Dale's audiobook, and he's not a fast reader by any stretch. And it's an 8-hour audiobook. And picture's worth 1,000 words. Like, even if they adapt it beat for beat, visually they can tell way more. And so that's why in some of the behind the scenes you've seen the Flamels.
Yeah.
Like Nicholas and Perenelle Flamel are going to be in this series. They are expanding outside of the scope of the book. Like when Nicholas and I had a little chat, like, are we going to see that chat?
Right.
Are we going to see Nicholas Flamel? Like, so yeah, I do agree. But yeah, my first initial take was that this was okay, everybody chill. It's in good hands. And that's how I left.
Well, and you see, you have the, the rule switch. So books are, do your best to hide the exposition with the characters, right? And then, but film and television is show, don't tell, so you have to hide your exposition or illustrate your exposition. So yeah, like for instance, it would be better to show him and Flamel having the chat, or even cutting to while he's explaining, but because obviously he was telling Harry about that. But whether they put that in chronologically, cut away, or if it's just a flashback kind of thing, either way, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Anytime we had just straight exposition from Dumbledore or from one of the characters explaining how something came together, we'll actually get to see it. And we saw a little bit of that in the films, right? When you think of the third film and you have Hermione doing the time turner bits, right? And they kind of, you get to walk through it. So I think we'll see a lot more of that. I'm trying not to jump ahead. I'm trying not to just.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into the actual documentary itself. I did go back and watch it again. It looks like it was kind of divided into 3 main segments, so we'll hit on each of those. They had the introduction, John Lithgow interview, Nick Frost narration, where they were talking kind of the why behind this, and it was what you have already said. Like it's what a lot of people have already wanted, a serialized television show, because they get to explore the avenues that they had to cut. And I think it was even which one of the production one of the producers on the first one said that if the story did not pertain directly to Harry, it got cut. Which I mean that's a good overarching principle to narrow a focus, to go from a 500-page book to a movie. But some of the things that got cut added so much enrichment to the story. So in order to tell this story, you have to cast Harry, Ron, and Hermione. That was the first section of the documentary. That was interesting to watch. I like that it was not, here, read this, be Hermione, read this line as Hermione, and it was not oh, here, read this section of the book, or here, give me your best accent. Like when they got to Dominic McLaughlin, he was delivering a poem that he had written in his Scottish accent for the audition.
Yeah.
And it felt like that they were going for more of the essence of the character, rather than can these kids be mimics of what they've seen before. I think way back before this even came out, and even just after the cast got announced, Arabella Stanton's audition came out, and they had asked her a question: how would you find a missing person? And she just had to make it up off the spot, and she jumped right into it and said, well, the first place I would go is to go to the local post office, see if I can find it. And she just started like logically processing her way through it. And you saw stories like that from the movies where they had to write an essay based on their character, and Hermione wrote Emma Watson wrote like 4 or 5 pages. Harry did the bare minimum, and Ron forgot and didn't turn it in, but said, Ron wouldn't have done it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, they get it. So you, in your like history and of being inside of this process, what were your thoughts on how they approached the casting of the main trio?
I thought it was great. It's insane to think that they saw 700, potential Harrys, right? Or 7,000. Sorry, it was 7,000.
It was like 40,000 total.
Was it 40,000 total children? Yeah, but
for
it wasn't
the trio audition.
For the trio. Yeah. I mean, that's intense because they looked at all of them. Like the casting directors and department had to look at all of them, and that's if you've ever had to look through submissions. I've judged competitions for years, and if you look through submissions, man, it becomes wallpaper real quick. So you're really looking. In one way, it actually becomes a little easier. Because you're really looking for that thing that jumps out, that it factor. There's something about the thing that you're looking for. If it stands out enough in the crowd that you've already seen, then you set it aside and you go, let's revisit. The downside is it's difficult to give a truly fair shot, and you can't go in depth with everybody because, we only have one life to live. So you have to figure out how to get through this process. The amazing challenge they had is that they're hanging an entire series and its future based on children that are wildly underdeveloped as just people in general. So they're looking for children to as close to what their ideal of the character is to begin with, so that the kids don't have to do an extra Herculean leap, because the kids also have to remember the script and hit their marks and be in this world of people they've never met, in these environments they've never been in. Just all these outside factors that these little people are going to have to deal with for the first time. Mm-hmm. So the closer they are personality and look to the characters is a huge milestone. Like that's just got to be where their focus is. Then they have to break down the kind of psychological temperament based on meeting these kids in very limited scenarios. And so it's like, are these kids going to be able to stand the test of a rigorous production schedule? So there's a lot of steps to this process. I would really wonder how long the process was when they narrowed it down to like the final 9 or so, because at that point, you're putting actors together and you're testing against
chemistry
all these
testing. Yeah.
chemistry testing, but yeah, and then you're also like stress testing. How long can they, be in this environment before they tap out? And because and by law you can only work them so long in a day, so you have to get the absolute most out of them right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of factors, and that's just the main cast, right? Then they have a whole castle full of kids they have to cast too. The adults are really quite easy because they have agents, and they've got a history and they know what's up. Like they're going to show up, be professional, and do all that. You have to develop a child actor, largely, especially at this age, because they're starting them at about the proper age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to really develop the child as an actor and teach them how to be a professional actor in real time while also getting what you need out of them on set. Herculean effort. And they're going to school on set too, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're doing all of it. And it's there's nothing normal about a child actor, especially in a big series. There's nothing normal.
I think I read somewhere that one of the houses on Privet Drive is indeed their school.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it makes sense.
The back face of it and the windows is a room inside of the school, and the school is actually inside of there because they have to go to school. They still have to get an education. And that just watching the trailer, I was content with Arabella Stanton as Hermione after she was announced, and I did a quick Google search, and I found that day that she was currently playing the leading role of Matilda in Matilda the Musical on the West End.
Right. Yeah. So she's a show kid. Yeah.
Well, plus she's playing a bookish, like little nerd who is a magic user already. Like,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Got it. Yeah. Got it. I hadn't really seen anything that I've heard of. I think Adolescence maybe was a show that Dominic McLaughlin was in prior to this. But I hadn't heard anything Alistair Stout was in. But just the vibe I got off of him through the trailer, even before you got to the end and you got "Are you really Harry Potter?" and he goes, that little like mind blown thing, which I've seen has in the Harry Potter community online has become like, this is how we're universally going to greet each other. Like, put the mind blowing as a sign of greeting and salutations. He just seemed cheeky through the entire trailer. Like he had a little like sparkle in his eye and just kind of a just mischievous undertone, and truly felt like he was enjoying being a kid while also being on this show. And that's one thing that I love that they highlighted in the trailer was how much they highlighted them being kids while also being at Hogwarts. And yes, there's perils that are coming, but the scene of them with the giant marshmallow rotating over the fire, that whenever they were eating anything they could spear in the books around Christmas time, like having those moments, those little breaths of like adolescence and fun, I think it's going to be huge for this.
Well, and that's another signal that it's in good hands, right? Like that's, and also you say, you just them being able to see them be kids is going to add the gravity to the perils later.
Yeah.
Right.
When the heel turns.
Yeah.
In book 4. Yeah. Thoughts on the adult cast?
I'm excited for it. It's very different. Love Nick Frost. So I think that's going to be a really good choice for Hagrid. He has really, really kind eyes.
He was my fan cast. Like if I could manifest anybody into a role, it was Nick Frost as Hagrid.
Oh, wow. Then you're getting it, right? Like you're getting what you wanted. I didn't have any choice. Like I didn't think about it. And so I was just happy to see Nick Frost cast. It's interesting to see Cadogan is now Filch, right? So some of the old faces coming back.
Ray Whitehouse. I think that was his name.
Yes. And then Snape is going to be interesting as a black actor playing Snape. So that's a wild difference, right? And it's interesting because Brit television has done things like that for a long time. And so
that's what I think a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah. This is their introduction to that, world of anybody can play anybody. It's okay. This is fiction, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and it challenges, I like it. I like it a lot because it's going to force the audience, especially American audiences, to get over themselves. And I think that's honestly the best casting to immediately break from the films and immediately say, this is not that. We're not replaying the films. This is our own thing. We're doing it our way. And so if you come in thinking that you're going to get an extended film, you're wildly disappointed. And they say that from the trailer on, from the casting on. And that gives the series its own fighting chance to be its own thing, right? So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that for the casting, straight up.
His casting to me kind of felt like, oh, they're making a live action Aladdin. How do you follow up Robin Williams?
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, right. Like you
do a 180.
But that's true of almost all the actors. I mean, they use such huge actors in the films, right? That you're going to have that. Dame Maggie Smith. How do you follow her up as McGonagall, right? And so all these actors and actresses are going to. There's going to be a bit of that, but again, hitting that hard reset button from the start gives them a chance to be their own thing. And I
absolutely.
So, and Lithgow as Dumbledore, choosing an American as Dumbledore is talk about a brave new world. And I'm here for it. I'm really here for it because Lithgow has had some very interesting work in the past. My earliest introduction that I can remember with Lithgow would be Harry and the Hendersons, right? And then
mine was Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, there you go. And that would be after Harry and the So I was, I'm older than you, but So Harry and the Hendersons, and then you get Third Rock from the Sun. But then you go dark. He was in Dexter. He had a really dark story arc in Dexter. So he has a range.
Conclave here recently with Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci. It was like set in the Vatican.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That one, Winston Churchill in The Crown. And so curmudgeon-y old British grandpa, but also, is he an alien? Bit of a comedic timing.
Yeah.
Like,
and
you blend those two together. To me, if you blend Dick Solomon and Winston Churchill together, you arrive at Dumbledore.
Yeah, and you have an actor with a proven track record through Hollywood of light, bubbly, and lovable to dark, sinister. That range has been proven out time and again with Lithgow, and Dumbledore needs all of it.
Oh yeah,
because he is that range. So it's going to be a really interesting thing. I will say, counter to that, I always have a problem. I'm usually better off if I don't know anybody in the cast, because then I have nothing attached to it. I can just be here for what I'm watching and just be in the story. So I'm never not going to see Lithgow in that Dumbledore's eyes, unfortunately. And same with Nick Frost. It's going to be hard for me to get past. So I'm really hoping like they win me completely over in those characters if I can push easily past, seeing them in that. But it's because I've seen them for so long in my life as other.
That happened to me in the movies. This is the first time I ever saw Maggie Smith. She was Mother Superior from Sister Act.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And I could not unsee well, I mean, they're basically the same character, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But I couldn't unsee Mother Superior in that. I just kept waiting for the song and dance numbers that are on the black robes anyway.
I am so glad I didn't go there, and my mind didn't do the connection because I loved Sister Act. So yeah, I guess that's a good point. Fair point. Yeah, I can get past it. Okay, good. Yeah, you saved me from myself on having to worry about that.
Yeah,
because I'm sitting here going,
perfect.
and Alan Rickman. I loved Alan Rickman in so many things. So, but of course, in the films, those characters and the actors played very similar across the board. Lithgow has an interesting history and range.
Oh yeah.
And Nick Frost, I don't know. A lot of his characters that he's played does lend to Hagrid's kind of spirit of character too. So
the thing that sold me on that is there was a Christmas special during Matt Smith's, might have been Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi, run of Doctor Who where he played Santa Claus.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
He was already like bearded and jolly. And I remember thinking at that point, man, if they ever redo Harry Potter, he would make a great Hagrid. And then his character's voice in, I think he played, he was in the live action How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it already had a very like Hagrid tone to it, kind of West Country, bit of an accent. I'm like, and I saw that movie after he was announced. I'm like, okay, it's in good hands. He's gonna do just fine. Now, you were talking about a little bit earlier, and this kind of leads into the next section of the documentary. You were worried that this was all just going to be green screen and volume. But the next section of this was actually, I think they had titled it The Measure of Magic, where they talked about the sets and they talked about the environments that they built. How much did your like production nerd brain just geek out about the fact that they built it? I mean, you would see little bits of blue at the very, very end of a street where you could tell that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, there has to be set extension, right? Like, yeah. And I'm just not going to knock the volume concept because I think it's superior to green and blue screen work.
Oh, in every way.
When you can use it.
Yeah.
When you can use it. Because from a production standpoint, what happens in the volume that really sells it is two factor, and especially for them, they really, I think they only have two options, right? They have real practical sets and the volume because they're dealing with children. And again, they have to remove very young children. They have to remove every barrier possible. To get them where they need to go across multiple episodes. So as the kids get older, I bet we'll see more green screen and blue screen work because it can be cheaper.
Yeah.
So, but until they're mature actors holding their own right obviously some of them aren't, but like until that they have everything locked in and own the roles, then I think we'll see a mix. But no, so yeah, the volume's great because of the immersive environment for the actors, and then it's great because of honestly, for cinematography purposes, the reaction of light, right? So but it just never compares to a practical set because real world physics exists. Now the problem is real world physics exists. So practical sets do have some limitations, but only some, because you can remove walls, floors. You can put a camera wherever you need to now, and get through a set. So, but when you're dealing with real sets, you're dealing with real light hitting real objects, and real objects that can be picked up, interacted with, or inspiring other things. But I think we underestimate our eyes and how much information our eyes pick up on the periphery. You know, when we're looking at something, we're focused. Like right now, I'm looking at a very small version of you on my screen because, you know, I've got it close to my camera, so I'm like at least close to my eye line because my teleprompter version's at the other studio.
I've got yours centered directly under the camera. At the top of the screen.
Well, and unfortunately, my other studio that's too loud because I don't have the new wall belt has the prompter, so I'm actually looking through the lens. Like I've solved this issue, and it's frustrating. I'm in this studio and having to like jump back and forth. But anyway, but I'm looking at a postage stamp version of you, right? But my eyes see everything else around me, and my office here is similar to yours. There's a lot of input, you know, books and figures and statues and all kinds of stuff in my office, right? I see all of it. My brain's picking up all of it. It's not prioritizing it, but it's picking it all up. Same with practical set. Like when you have, it's easier to have an art department go in and it's like, bring in all the props and dress this out. And there's all these details that are never focused on. They're just there. It was somebody's job to ensure that it fits the character, it fits the scene, it fits the everything about the environment, and it all fits, right? But it's a whole department, and they get to just focus on those details that are never insisted upon and never highlighted. Even in the shots, we're not going to see those details necessarily, locked in on very often, because it's always going to be following the characters.
But the actors will.
The actors will, but we will too. Our brain's still going to pick up all this stuff, and it's going to inform the believability of the environment, the immersive nature of the environment, not just for the actors, but for us, the audience, because all these things are going to be whimsical and different in this space. We're not going to see IKEA furniture, sitting in
Right.
Hogwarts. We probably will, but it'll be clad in a lot of different stuff. But, and because of that, that gives us an emotional reaction to each shot and scene that we wouldn't have necessarily in a digital environment. Now, in the digital environment, the same thing happens, but it becomes more time consuming and more restrictive, and therefore more expensive to actually build out all those little 3D objects that have to sit in the 3D scene to get rendered. There's whole teams that do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But to move through a whole series to really execute, I think the practical is always going to kind of win out. And we saw the films do that. We saw the films progress in the series and then hit a director. I think it was Alfonso Cuarón was much more of a practical guy. And then we go back to a practical, world with even practical effects. And when we went to the practical effects, even if they weren't as whimsical and polished as we're used to with digital, if you go and you look at kind of the emotional tonal shift from, was it the third film to the fourth film or the second to the third? Maybe it was the second to the third. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alfonso Cuarón gave us
second to the third.
Yeah. He gave us the language of Hogwarts going forward.
Yeah. He set the tone. But the whole world grounded in a reality. And that's the key to Potter, is it's grounded in our reality. It just sets laterally to it. It's just on the other side of the veil. Actually, we interact with it often. There's that bit of illusion of, did I see what I thought? No, you just shake it off. The Vernon Dursley, just shake it off. And
just shake it off, or the disappearing, like the shrinking keys.
Yeah.
Muggles think that they just keep losing them because they can't see magic right in front of them. The little bits of whimsy in our life and the deja vu and the unexplained, that was weird. Being told that that's actually a whole nother world that's always existing in parallel. Yeah.
And that's always been the genius to me of the stories in the way that they're crafted. It was taking everything, and it's kind of like improv. Yes, and. So witches wore pointy hats. Yes. Wizards use wands. Yes. They fly on brooms. Yes. And all this other stuff. Like mythical creatures existed. Yes. There are castles. Yes. Magical schools. Yes. And and so like when you have practical sets, you get to imply all that because everything feels real, because it is, right? Anyway. Yeah.
So what did you think? This kind of leads into the next section, because I think a lot of Hogwarts architecture was informed by this decision. The next section was the nature of magic. I think one of the production designers had even said, like, we are striving to create an environment that feels so real that you wonder, is this just around this bend in the Scottish Highlands? Like, it's like I could go there. They had rooted a lot. I mean, even then, just walking into the entrance hall of Hogwarts when McGonagall is standing there waiting for them in the trailer, you see like trees that had been integrated into the structure of the school. Some of the crests that you've seen have branches and roots coming off of the top and the bottom of the H. And they've said that they are really grounding all of the magic into nature, and nature being the kind of unifying force around that, which I thought was so interesting, because they are counterpointing Hogwarts to 1990s London. Like early 1990s London, which was all neon colors and bold geographic shapes and kind of a very light, they even talked about this, like a light pastel-y color palette for the cars and the furniture and the outfits. Meanwhile, you go to Hogwarts and it's all very earthy. Like some of the Hogwarts robes almost kind of have a port wine Bordeaux, like a really rich burgundy color to them, and just a lot of really earthy organic elements. And I think that by them picking up, yes, this story started in 1991. It ended in 1998. The entirety of the Harry Potter series was set in the 90s. The counterpoint from like the funky neon 1990s to the really grounded earthy elements of Hogwarts, I think anchors it to the same reality while giving it a very visual distinction between the two.
Well, I think it's doing a few other things too in a big way. One is, have you been to Edinburgh or?
I have not been across the pond.
Okay. So when you go, it's only a matter of when, right? Everything is stone, right? Everything is very earthy anyway, especially in Old Town, but even in New Town. Of course, New Town is still 1600s, but it's very, the UK is very stone built. Like, so there's an earthy feel to the UK anyway. Unlike, I mean, you can have sections of London. Of course, London's a 2,000-year-old city, but there are still only sections of London that feel what we would say is very kind of New York, Chicago contemporary in terms of like the high-rise superstructures and stuff like that are just steel and glass. So one, the earthy thing is very, like you said, Scottish Highlands, but simply because everything is stone anyway. Everything feels more permanent that way and grounded. But I think moreover than that, it's playing to that. I think moreover than that, they're actually going to probably a more traditional real world understanding of magic, right? In terms of like, when you look at kind of even just new age concepts or something like that, or, you know, modern day understanding or modern day assumptions about Celtic or Druidic, kind of, they're playing all of that because it's very much earth. It's very much, going back to nature kind of things and grounding it there. So I think a lot of that comes in to play. So they're kind of mixing, again, it's playing that yes and, you know, so she did it with a lot of iconic images and mythical creatures when she wrote the books. I think they're going back and saying, oh, we can take it further and say yes and take like Druidic and kind of origins of ancient religions and bring it in, which is very earth-based, and, you know, all that iconography and symbology is brought into it as well. But I think the third layer is going, hey, we did it really well with Hogwarts Legacy, and I think they borrowed a lot from those art boards and look boards from Legacy, and really brought them in and said, okay, what does this look like in the real world? And did a fantastic job at bringing some of the elements I absolutely loved, because Legacy did exactly that. So the idea of the grounding in nature is not new, because it definitely released with Legacy in a big way.
Yes.
And then of course that brings in like, Devil's Snare and all that, that's going to come up in the book anyway, or in the series, because it comes up in the first book in a big way. You know, gives it a grounding there. Like, these things do coexist in these worlds with in the magical world, and just in the world in general, right? So like, but they're going to see it more in the magical world. And I think we're going to see these more often. I can't wait to see the greenhouse. The shot we saw, with
the tree growing inside of it.
Yeah. So I think, and again, you look at how they extended the greenhouse in Hogwarts Legacy was really spectacular. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity that they're playing on there, but I think Hufflepuffs are going to get a lot more love now. Finally. Right?
The only Quidditch game that they showed was in the trailer was Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff, which is also the one that Snape refereed.
Right.
So that's, I genuinely hope so. Like, I know that Hagrid's comment in the book was meant to be kind of cheeky, like, oh, people say Hufflepuff's a bunch of duffers, but I don't know. Um, and that kind of set the tone for, oh, let's everybody hate on Hufflepuff. But I know with such a rabid fan base and people really digging in, who really put a lot of stock by their sorting house quiz and what that means for them and how it assesses. I trust the Hogwarts sorting house quiz more than any Enneagram, more than any aptitude test that you can give me.
Yeah.
Full stop. Because it describes me and my wife to a T. And my daughter, I mean, she doesn't really listen to podcasts, but if she ever listens to this, I mean it with the utmost love. I think she's Slytherin.
Yeah. It's funny how many little girls are Slytherins. I know several, like my nieces are Slytherins, and my great niece
I mean
is
that
Slytherin.
in the kind of like cunning way where she will do everything to skirt around doing what you ask her to do.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also very ambitious and determined. And if she sets her mind to something, she's steam train going forward. Don't get in her way. So I mean that with Jenny, if you ever listen to this, I mean that with the utmost love. She's claiming Gryffindor right now. We've swung from Ravenclaw to Gryffindor. But we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I do hope that they get a whole lot of love. Ravenclaws, the glimpses that we've seen, the colors are blue and bronze. There's an eagle
I'm so
on their
glad.
Crest.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's that in that one thing. And Seth actually brought that up when we watched it. So like, because he was like, there it is. I caught it right when he said it. Yeah. The blue and bronze. And it's like, okay, that alone says we are true to the books, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is what we're doing. And that was, in hosting Wizard Fest, I always had to do a duo version of Ravenclaw color schemes throughout the festival because a lot of people coming were movie fans and I'm a book purist. So like, I couldn't let it sit. Like I couldn't just do the movie colors. So I always tried to like work in, oftentimes you would see a lot of bronze and things worked in with Ravenclaw stuff because, there's going to be just as many people like me that are book fans coming. And so, yeah, I was ecstatic to see that. To see that just one detail, I was like, yep, good hands. Yeah, it's in good hands.
Inside of the whole nature of magic, too, they also showed off some of the really impressive animatronics that they're building.
Mm-hmm.
The animatronic for Scabbers and how they had to miniaturize everything so it wasn't cumbersome for Alistair to like hold and interact with the rat, all of the different owls that they built, plus the fire crabs,
right?
And the what was that thing called? The Dug Bog. That was only ever mentioned. Yeah, I did some research before this. They only ever mentioned once, and it was in the Half-Blood Prince, and it was when Ron's spell-checking quill changed Dementor to Dugbog.
Wow. Okay, I was going to ask you because I mean, Dugbugs are in the
they're all over the game,
and they are.
You fly out into the marshlands around the lake. Yeah, I mean, you could drop down and fight Dugbugs for an hour if you wanted to.
Yeah,
and I didn't know anything about them when I played the game and went and looked it up. And I'm like, was this ever mentioned in the book? And so, yeah, that's another thing where it's like, yeah, Legacy and the TV show, I think there's going to be a lot of overlap. They said that for Hogwarts Legacy 2, there's plans of having a much stronger tie-in from the game to the television show. And so I almost wonder if they're hoping for some like brand synergy there where in between seasons they can release the Legacy game and that will build up hype. Oh, I saw that in the TV show and now it's in this, and kind of build up some hype for that.
Well, I think so. And I think you see that when they show the exterior of one of the shops. I believe it was Diagon Alley, with the giant toadstool kind of exterior, like the herbology shop. And I'm like, that is straight out of that looks like it's straight out of Legacy, because Legacy really nailed that aesthetic.
Did you also catch the new coffee shop in Diagon Alley?
No, I've only seen the trailer one time, and I've only seen the documentary.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, just the once.
Mr. Mr.
Just the casual, casual watch.
Sure.
I haven't watched any frame by frame analysis on any of the YouTube channels. No.
I haven't had time. I'm jealous. But honestly, too, I don't want to spoil anything. For me, it's like I just want it to be fresh. So
True.
I'm not the kind of guy that goes in and splits things apart until after I've had my own opportunity to come at something fresh. And then I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Like I'll
I used to
devour
do
it.
that. There was, you ever watched the New Rockstars YouTube channel? I used to
No.
watch all of their trailer breakdowns for the Marvel movies, and they were able to deduce quite a bit from the trailer by breaking it down like scene by scene. So I've kind of like backed off of those a little bit. Like I want to go into these movies and have the surprises, still be surprises. But it's Akiafi, and it's in Diagon Alley, and it's
Akiafi. Okay.
Akiafi. Yeah. So I don't think that was ever mentioned.
Oh, on Doug Bog, I do want to say, so I had to look it up because I'm like, man, it's odd that Doug Bog was so prevalent as an ingredient. You go, kill a Doug Bog, take the tongue, and you had a potion ingredient in the game, the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Yeah.
And they were also awful to try to, like, they would beat you up no matter what level you were. So I looked it up. Yeah, it was in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them textbook. Remember the?
Yes. Yeah. It was in the.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if I have those on one of these two shelves or no, they're on another shelf.
The Griffin covered one.
That's a big one. I only have the original ones I got in like 2000.
Oh, it's like.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is that a re-release? Did they make a new one?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't have that one. Ooh, I don't think I have that one. I have to assume I was just looking at a couple of shots. I have to, because this is also straight out of Legacy, is that beautiful glass solar system object that's at the base of one of the stairwells like that. I have to assume that's that in the it's got to be in the astronomy tower. It's definitely near Ravenclaw's common room, because I think that was a very Ravenclaw-y thing. For some reason, it's striking me, or maybe it's just astronomy tower. I don't know.
Ah, yeah, here it is. Doug Bog, Ministry of Magic classification XXX. The Doug Bog is a marsh-dwelling creature found in Europe and North and South America. It resembles a piece of dead wood while stationary, though through closer examination revealed finned paws and very sharp teeth. It glides and slithers through marshlands, feeding mainly on small mammals, and will do severe injury to ankles of human walkers. The Doug Bog's favorite food, however, is mandrake. Mandrake growers have been known to seize the leaves of one of their prized plants only to find a bloody, mangled mess below, owing to the attentions of a Doug Bog.
There you have it.
But this is their illustration of a Hebridean black.
Oh, okay. I see where they're getting. Okay.
How gigantic it was.
Yeah.
Plus, the first password to Gryffindor Tower was Caput Draconis, which is head of the dragon.
Okay.
Did Gryffindor claim the dragon's head for himself and transfigure it into a tower?
That would be a Gryffindor thing to do, right?
It absolutely would. And he obviously also made the headmaster study with the griffin door on the outside. Anyway, you've cracked open Pandora's box, and I got to get all the theories back in before they scatter everywhere.
That's what happens when you're in a vacuum of new material, right? You have to go deep, and well, that's the beauty of art. All art is that, like, and that's the other thing I keep telling people, because they always bring up Rowling and her opinions about things, and I'm like, the art doesn't belong to the artist after it's created, and that's true and always has been true about art. So what we get out of a painting that we love, or a song that we love, or in this case, definitely a book that we love, is not as much about the contents, but about our entire life's journey up to the point that we receive the message that we get from that piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so art is as much about you as it is the piece itself, and nothing about the author. You know, it's just, and that's, you know, in screenwriting class, you know, that's always been and maybe that's part of the reason that I was able to accept that much younger, was in screenwriting, you create something, you're the author of it, right? You're the author of the screenplay, but it was never meant to be read. You don't write it to be read. You write it to be seen. It's just part of the process. And screenwriters are always dumped on. Like they're oftentimes not even invited to award shows and things like that. They're the ones that created this content. and you think, like, even it goes that same way, like with comic book writers and things like that. The writers are just, but they're the ones creating the material, the source material. But so in screenwriting, you have to learn very early on that you're the start of a process, you're the start of the finished piece, and that's kind of it. Whatever comes out the other side is the finished piece because of a collaborative endeavor. The books are very not as collaborative. There's an editor, right? Mm-hmm. Songs are moderately collaborative. Filmmaking, as you saw in the behind the scenes, there are so many people involved.
Yeah.
Like, it is wildly collaborative, and it is amazing that anything ever gets finished. But paintings are not. But the point is, at the end of the day, they all come down to a viewer, a reader, a listener, experiencing the artwork, and it's entirely, how it's received is entirely based on the background of the person that's experiencing it. And one of the things that makes something a unicorn as much as Potter is that it's so universal, meaning there's so many things in it that resonate at such a deep level for so many people. That's why it becomes so massively popular.
Yep. Yeah, it is universal. The Harry Potter story is also a story that deserves to be injected into the cultural zeitgeist again, especially in a time like now.
Yeah.
Something that exemplifies the power of friendship, the value of found family, standing up and speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
And that love is the most powerful magical force in the world. Like, something that exemplifies those values, to me, deserves to have another moment in the spotlight.
And celebrating differences and celebrating unique opportunities. And yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because we're in a very similar-ish nihilist kind of societal environment, like vibe, be it political or be it technological or be it financial. That when I came to the Potter series in 2001 was right after 9/11, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, talk about the gunshot into, or the starting pistol into, you know, kind of a nihilist kind of era, pretty dark era. And it was a really nice place to tuck and get a breath, you know, take a breath and just disappear into that world. And it was a nice world to disappear into. It wasn't without problems, and that was okay, but they were manageable problems. And they also weren't my problems. So,
right.
And I think we're going to get a series right at about the right time, to everybody can take a little breath again, and hopefully some new fans can get introduced to what Potter can mean to them. Hopefully it gives them a little bit of a breather.
My daughter will turn 9 a month after the show comes out.
Oh, nice. Okay, so she's going to grow up with it.
If this goes on for 10 years, she'll be 19 when it's over.
Yeah.
Like, this is her golden trio. This is her entering class at Hogwarts. She's going to grow up with these characters, and she's going to grow up with what they represent, hopefully locked in to her core as well. That it's especially Harry is effectively being adopted into a new family, and that yes, you need to stand up for yourself and stand up for people, but ultimately love is the most powerful force in the world. Like I want her to enter into her adulthood with that at the core of her being. But it would not be a conversation with you if we did not go to a metaphysical, existential, like
what's
place,
it say about me?
toward the toward the end of it.
Well, I think also I got to say, like, you're talking about your daughter coming up into it, and I think the beautiful thing about the end of this documentary is when they highlight the amount of people that actually were kind of brought up through the movie series, like the amount of people that their parents worked on different aspects.
I was going to say
film.
Not just watching it, but the number of people that said my dad worked on this part of this film, or my mom worked on this part of this film, and they're doing that. The production crew is experiencing a generational transition, a generational handoff. And that, again, that was the point at the end of this, whenever I mentioned back to the beginning of my first thoughts, that this was released to let the fans know this is in good hands.
Yep.
And I ended it fully content that this was in good hands. I am going to judge acting performances after I've seen the performances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I know with this show, we are going to be seated, robed, Bertie Bott's beans in hands on day one. And I do hope that you will come back after the show starts to announce it, and we can break down the episodes as they come out.
I'm here for it, man.
The door is always open for you here at Potter Plus. But Brad, again, thank you so much for coming on Potter Plus.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
But that's it for this one, guys. Brad Bear, thank you so much for coming back on Potter Plus. You are always welcome here, my friend. Potter Plus is a production of the Grapefruit Network. To find out more about this show, you can visit us at potterplus.show. And to find out more about the other shows inside of our network, visit us at thegrapefruitnetwork.com. I'm on social and on YouTube now at Kentucky Wizard. Please come over and hang out. Let's chat everything Harry Potter and life in between. And thank you so much for listening. I've been William. And remember, you are just as sane as I am.